towards the end. What do I mean by this? Well, it's pretty simple actually, all right? Pretty simple. So we're looking at, I don't know, 3x plus 2 is equal to a negative 13. All right. First things first. What's happening between the 3 and the x? What's happening? Anybody? Multiplication is happening between the 3 and the x. If you divide this 3 to the other side, does 3 go into 13?
No.
Not at all. Which is why it's best to do addition / subtraction first.
So then you can just take the rest of that.
Okay? You're pretty much doing PEMDAS. You know, PEMDAS, you're working with parentheses and exponents, but then multiplication and division come before subtraction and addition. Well, in this type of situation, when you're solving,
You gotta do it backwards.
kind of. And what I mean by kind of course, when we deal with parentheses, as in the distributive property, we're still getting rid of those first.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So you're still doing PEMDAS, but sometimes you gotta bypass this stuff.
So with equations, when solving equations, pretty much it's best to do parentheses, exponents, addition, subtraction, either or. That's why I put the slash right there, and either or multiplication, division. Okay? That doesn't.
I think it's multiplication division.
I know.
No, he's doing it.
With PEMDAS it is. But multiplication and division, when solving an equation, multiplication and division come after addition and subtraction. I'm not trying to confuse y'all, but this is the best way to solve a two-step equation and going into solving multi-step equations, okay? Do your addition and subtraction first, okay? Please. I'm not gonna steer you wrong. I'm not trying to trick any of you. I promise you. We subtract this 2 to the other side. That's how we get the 3x by itself. Okay? That's how you get the 3x by itself. You subtract the 2 to the other side. Boom. Wasserman, what's negative 13 minus 2? You don't know? Engels? Negative 15. 3x is equal to negative 15. Y'all should know how to do or what to do from there. Floyd, what's x equal to?
5.
No.
What?
Cobb.
1.
It's equals to negative 5.
Thank you. You are dividing. Good job. But what's the negative divided by a positive?
A positive.
No.
A negative.
Yes. Please remember that. Please remember, okay? I know I showed y'all the chart. There's this little other chart that one of my 9th graders showed me that he used to get a perfect score on his PEMDAS quiz. It's so fun. It's a triangle. And he put the plus up here and the negatives down here.
Yeah.
Oh, that
For
makes sense.
for multiplication and division. Whoops. Multiplication and division. Because a positive times a negative is equal to a negative. A negative times a negative is equal to a positive. A negative times a positive is equal to a negative. That's what he did on his quiz.
I'm writing that there.
A positive divided by a negative is equal to a negative. A negative divided by a positive is equal to a negative. A negative divided by a negative is equal to a positive. Like, that's all he was doing on his quiz. I was like, wow, that's way less complicated than the chart that I showed you.
Well, I mean, with that, it's also very visual, to where you can remember it very easily.
Yeah.
Positive goes with negative, so that, yeah.
And that's what he showed me what he did. I don't know where he came up with it. He said he came up with by himself. But I think that he learned that from somebody. But I'll give him credit. I'll give him the credit. I was like, hey, good job.
He taught the teacher.
Yeah.
Bro,
That's cool.
that's big brain.
Maybe this will help a couple of y'all out. Okay? And this isn't just for you, sir. This is for a lot of people, especially people at home. Because a couple people at home are forgetting y'all's negatives too. Real talk. Negative divided by a positive. Yes, your math is correct. 15 divided by 3 is 5. Good job. Okay? But a 5 and a -5 are two very different numbers. The difference between 5 and -5 is like the difference between 55 and 2,935. They both are two very different numbers. They just so happen to have the number 5 in them. Same thing with positives and negatives. They're two very different numbers that just so happen to have the number 5 in them. Okay? I need y'all to think about that. I didn't see mad questions get wrong off of just people forgetting the negative right there. And I'd be like, and I would just go through it. I'd be like, yes, 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 good job, yes. What? How? It helps, and I'm here to help. You got x over 2 minus 3 equal to, I'll say a -4. Addition, subtraction first. What's the one thing that we're trying to get by itself for right now? Or what's the one thing we gotta get rid of? Yeah, well, we gotta get the x by itself, but what's the one thing that we gotta get rid of? The -3, yes. We'll get rid of that later. Why? Because is this multiplication and division? Yeah. So let's get this whole thing right here by itself. Let's get rid of the -3, okay? How are we gonna get rid of that -3?
You add 3 to 8 both sides.
Mm-hmm. That comes down, x over 2 equal to what? What's -4 plus 3?
-1.
-1. Same thing as in y'all's other one that I did. What's happening between the x and the 2? You're dividing. What's the opposite of division, Lane? My man. What are we multiplying on both sides, Miss Ned?
2.
Mm-hmm. What's 2 times -1, Floyd?
2 times -1, -2.
My man.
I was about to say -1, not gonna.
You straight, it's okay. Think about this, all right?
You straight?
The stuff is very repetitive. It's very redundant. That's my lesson for the day. All right. Real quick. Remember when I said usually? Remember when I said usually is best to do addition and subtraction first,
Yep.
and then solve multiplication and division? Sometimes you might have a rule where you must do division first, and this is, and you guys will see this up there. Okay? You will have this one rule where you must do division first. So let's say, for example, you might have x minus 7 over a negative 2 equal to 9, right? This is the only time when you're going to be doing division first. Why? Because your x and your subtraction or addition, yes, they are both in the numerator section, okay? They both are in the numerators. So with that being said, you gotta separate, all right? So, we multiply. What are we gonna multiply?
2 and 7.
Not the 2 and the 7.
The X and 7.
No.
The,
What's in your denominator?
The negative 2.
yeah.
The negative 2. What you do on one side, you must
Do the other.
do to the other, okay? And that's how you get rid of that. Boom. Okay? Bring it down. What comes down?
X minus 7.
X minus 7. What's 9 times negative 2?
Negative 8.
Negative 18. How are we going to get the x by itself?
Add 7 and 18.
Negative 11.
All right. This is the only time when you're going to do a division before adding and subtracting. All right, that's the only time. Other than that, no other time is going to happen. You're not going to do multiplication unless only time when you're going to do multiplication before adding and subtracting is when we go over absolute values, okay? And I'll go more so into that. Another time when you're going to do multiplication before adding and subtracting is when we're doing the distributive property, which y'all have already seen, okay? So, would it have been best for me to have started off with this before I went into multi-step equations? Be real. Yeah? Okay. Well then, for that, you have my apologies. I was not aware of what y'all learned last year. But at least we're playing catch up. At least y'all are getting it. Cool?